Once upon a time, CMC Motors Group was a titan in East Africa's automotive industry. A name synonymous with trust, quality, and reliability. But how did this once thriving company fall from grace? Today, we uncover the story of CMC Motors, its rise, struggles, and ultimate closure. CMC Motors traces its origins back to 1912, when Clement Herzl established Nairobi Motor Garage in what was then British East Africa, now Kenya. As the region's first vehicle distributor, the company pioneered automobile sales, beginning with the importation of the Ford Model T, which quickly dominated the market. In July 1948, British entrepreneurs Allen and Cooper acquired the business and rebranded it as Cooper Motor Corporation Private Limited, CMC, to reflect the new ownership. With the introduction of Land Rover, CMC expanded its footprint across Africa, solidifying its position as a leading automotive importer for multiple brands. Key products and services. Passenger vehicles. Brands like Ford, Volkswagen, Mazda, and Land Rover were the backbone of CMC's passenger vehicle lineup, catering to middle-class families and luxury buyers alike. Commercial trucks and buses. CMC supplied reliable UD trucks and Eicher buses for businesses and public transport providers. Agricultural equipment. Tractors and farming machinery from global brands transformed East Africa's agriculture. Construction machinery. Equipment like excavators and loaders supported the region's infrastructure boom. Fleet deals. CMC had lucrative contracts with governments and corporations, providing fleets of vehicles for transport and logistics. With an unmatched after-sales service network, CMC Motors built trust with customers across the region. From its listing in 1979, CMC Motors grew to become one of Kenya's most iconic automotive companies, distributing some of the world's most prestigious brands. During its first 3 decades, CMC Motors' ownership was held by a mix of local investors, business figures, and influential shareholders, each playing a key role in shaping the company's success. Leading the ownership group was Peter Mathoka, who held the largest stake with 24.7%. His influence, both through his logistics firm Andy Forwarders and his role in CMC's operations, left a lasting impact on the company's trajectory. Mathoka's involvement in CMC Motors was pivotal, and while it brought growth, it also led to internal conflicts, particularly regarding governance and company management. Another key figure in CMC's ownership was Jeremiah Kireni, the former chairman, who owned 12.5% of the company. His leadership and strategic decisions helped steer the company through some of its most challenging periods. Kireni's influence was felt at the highest levels, but like many major shareholders, he was caught up in the internal power struggles that eventually plagued the company. Paul Ndunyu and Joel Kaib were also significant players, collectively controlling over 12% of CMC Motors. Their shares added to the balance of power, though their influence was often overshadowed by larger shareholders like Mathoka and Kireni. Despite their substantial stakes, internal conflicts between the shareholders led to disagreements and governance challenges that ultimately affected CMC's ability to maintain steady growth. The rise and fall of CMC Motors shares. CMC Motors was once a titan in Kenya's automotive industry. The public listing in 1979 of its shares on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, traded at 5 Kenya shillings per share, was a pivotal moment. CMC quickly grew into one of the most recognized names in Kenya's automotive industry, representing brands like Land Rover, Jaguar, and Mazda. With its strong market position, the company's share price began to rise steadily. Over the years, investors saw promising returns as CMC expanded its operations, but it was in 2007 that the company saw its biggest peak, when the share price reached a staggering 90 shillings per share. But as we know, the stock market can be unpredictable. After 2007, the value of CMC shares began to slide. Internal conflicts and shareholder disputes began to take a toll, weakening investor confidence. The share price, which had once soared to 90, had now fallen to around 13 shillings per share by 2012-2013. But no success story is without challenges. In the early 2000s, CMC Motors faced growing competition from brands like Toyota Kenya, Simba Corp, and DT Dobi. Here's what went wrong. A loss of key dealerships. The loss of critical dealership rights, like Suzuki to Toyota Kenya and Jaguar Land Rover to Inchcape, was a major blow. These brands were crucial to CMC's revenue streams. In a competitive automotive market, the loss of iconic brands can reshape a company's future. These brands were pillars of CMC's success, contributing significantly to their revenue streams. The loss meant not just reduced sales, but also a shift in customer loyalty to competitors. Economic and operational pressures. Over the years, CMC Motors faced growing challenges that threatened its ability to stay profitable. At the heart of these challenges was the weakening Kenyan shilling. As the shilling devalued, the cost of importing vehicles and spare parts surged, directly eating into the company's profit margins. Vehicles and parts became more expensive to source, forcing CMC Motors to either raise prices for customers or absorb the extra costs, neither of which were sustainable in the long run. Adding to this was the rising cost of operations, from higher fuel prices to increased electricity tariffs and staff wages, all of which strained the company's resources. Mismanagement and internal struggles at CMC Motors. Behind the success of every company lies its leadership. But when leadership falters, even the strongest brands can crumble. Such was the case with CMC Motors. For years, CMC Motors faced internal shareholder wrangles that sowed divisions at the highest levels of the company. A notable case involved a protracted boardroom dispute centered on allegations of conflict of interest and mismanagement. Various allegations came to light in 2011 and escalated in 2012. According to a report by The Standard, CMC's chief executive at the time, Bill Lay, accused ousted chairman Peter Mafoka of conflict of interest and receiving irregular payments, totaling close to $2 billion over 5 years. Additionally, some former directors were accused of operating illegal offshore accounts in Jersey, where millions of shillings belonging to the company were stashed. An internal audit revealed that one such account had a balance of over $240 million. The situation escalated when the Capital Markets Authority, CMA, intervened, suspending CMC's shares from trading on the Nairobi Stock Exchange and initiating investigations into the company's procurement practices and governance issues. These internal disputes not only tarnished CMC's reputation, but also disrupted its operations, leading to financial instability and loss of key partnerships. Between 2008 and 2013, CMC Motors' profitability was on a roller coaster ride. In 2010, the company faced a difficult market, with thin margins due to rising costs and competition. By 2012, a brief recovery saw profits reach 105 million Kenya shillings, offering a glimmer of hope. However, the relief was short-lived. In 2013, profits dropped again to 110 million Kenya shillings, but the company also reported a significant loss of 181 million Kenya shillings, highlighting deeper structural and operational challenges. This period marked a critical turning point for the company, prompting the need for strategic reforms. In 2014, after years of financial turbulence, CMC Motors was sold to the Dubai-based Al Futtaim Group for a reported 7.5 billion Kenya shillings. This acquisition price reflected both the value of the company's assets and its liabilities. But how was this valuation determined? Despite its iconic brand value, CMC Motors had faced significant financial challenges in the preceding years. However, the company's assets, such as prime real estate, inventory, and exclusive dealership rights, still held considerable value. At the time of the sale, CMC's assets were valued at slightly over 5 billion Kenya shillings, showcasing the company's strong market position and resource portfolio. On the flip side, the company was grappling with substantial debts, estimated at 2.5 billion Kenya shillings, which had impacted its financial stability. The sale was eventually completed at 13 per share Kenya shillings, giving shareholders a much-needed lifeline in the midst of uncertainty. Volkswagen, with its extensive experience in the automotive sector, made efforts to streamline CMC's operations and revitalize the brand. But the challenges of regaining market dominance, stabilizing operations, and restoring the company's previous glory proved to be insurmountable. More major brands withdrew their partnerships, including MAN Trucks. CMC lost the exclusive dealership for MAN Trucks after the franchise owners appointed a second dealer, RT East Africa, to distribute the commercial vehicles. Ford and Mazda. In April 2023, CMC declared 169 employees redundant after these brands, along with others, terminated their contracts with the motor dealer. Renault Trucks. In 2022, CMC lost its dealership for Renault Trucks to Kitano, Kenya. UD Trucks. In March 2024, CMC lost its dealership for UD Trucks to Isuzu, East Africa. These successive losses of major brands and government fleet deals were significant blows, contributing to CMC Motors' decision to wind down operations. Here are 3 key lessons investors, company leaders, and shareholders can learn from the story of CMC Motors. 1. The importance of strong corporate governance. CMC Motors struggled with governance issues, including alleged fraud, insider conflicts, and poor management oversight. These challenges not only tarnished the company's reputation, but also eroded shareholder confidence. Lesson: transparent and accountable leadership is essential for a company's long-term success. Investors and shareholders should actively monitor governance practices to safeguard their interests. 2. Diversification and adapting to market changes. Despite its early dominance in the automotive industry, CMC failed to innovate and diversify its portfolio to adapt to changing market demands. The loss of key dealership brands and government fleet contracts further exposed its vulnerabilities. Lesson: companies must stay ahead of market trends and diversify revenue streams to remain competitive. Investors should evaluate whether a company is proactive in managing risks and evolving with industry shifts. 3. Debt management and financial discipline. By 2014, CMC was heavily burdened with debts amounting to nearly 2.5 billion Kenya shillings, which diminished its financial flexibility and operational efficiency. This financial strain made the company vulnerable to acquisition. Lesson: leaders should prioritize prudent financial management and avoid over-leveraging. Shareholders should assess a company's debt levels and cash flow health before investing or holding long-term positions. These lessons underline the importance of leadership, adaptability, and financial responsibility in ensuring a company's resilience and growth in competitive markets. The story of CMC Motors is a powerful tale of triumph, resilience, and the challenges that even the strongest companies face. From its role as a pioneer in East Africa's automotive industry to its struggles with governance and market shifts, CMC's journey offers invaluable lessons. While its closure in 2025 marked the end of an era, its legacy lives on in the roads, farms, and industries it helped shape across the region. CMC Motors was more than a company. It was a cornerstone of motor industry for generations. Its story reminds us that businesses, like individuals, must adapt, innovate, and uphold integrity to thrive. So, what do you think was the turning point in CMC's story? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as we uncover more lessons from history's most iconic brands.